All
right, let's talk more about this decision, which really divided the court and how it will impact voting rights in the congressional maps moving forward. So let's bring in Andrew Lieb, a constitutional law attorney. Andrew, good to see you. Thanks for joining us today. So again, this was such a surprise. They expected a ruling that would undercut the Voting Rights Act. We had a guest on just earlier this week who was saying that she was kind of, she was very concerned about what was going to happen and thinking that it was going to be undercut. How significant is this for voting rights? And let's think big picture here, because as Joe mentioned, there are a lot of people that may be watching right now that don't necessarily live in Alabama. But what does this mean when we're talking about the landscape of the country?
I have to bring it even bigger than voting rights. You see, this is based on the 15th Amendment, which is in Article 2 of the Voting Rights Act. I know Article 2 is a little broader, but it's really the 15th Amendment, which is an anti-discrimination law. So we have to make it broader, that we're seeing people like Kavanaugh and, of course, Roberts, who wrote the opinion, saying that we can't live in a discriminatory country. And just the facts on the ground is that based on the way they were drawing this district, there was only going to be one African-American black majority district the way they were doing this. And we're not going to allow this to be moving forward. I think it's very important, and I think the real takeaway is that Roberts is taking back control of his court, and I'm happy to see him writing the opinion.
See, that's a fascinating point. In addition to the substance of the case and how much race can play into the drawing of congressional districts, particularly with a razor-thin margin in the House. So these districts are very important for just the political math and how it all unfolds in D.C. here. But that was kind of the narrative. You just hit on it, that John Roberts has kind of lost control of this court, that it was really Clarence Thomas who was running the court, and that, because of a 6-3 supermajority, the Roberts vote just didn't mean as much, so he didn't have as much juice with his colleagues. Do you really think, obviously, it's all, rooted in legal theory and their interpretation of our Constitution and laws, but do you really think this may, behind the scenes, a little bit from the ego perspective here, may have been Roberts saying, not so fast, my vote can mean something, let me show you how?
I think you're saying it exactly how I would say it. Now, I don't think this is a predictor that every case is going to turn out this way moving forward, but we've always seen Roberts as a calming influence on both sides. It's not that he's always with the liberals, and he's certainly more of a conservative, but he wants to make his court be above board. He wants to have legitimacy in the court and have sound legal reasoning. And he's been making a campaign about that recently. And to make such an important decision today, I think that goes forward towards that. And I have to point out, this decision isn't the ultimate result of the case either. It's a likelihood of success on the merits, a preliminary injunction from the district court. So more could come from this. But I think what's important today is that we're saying that an anti-discrimination law, one of the most important ones that comes from our Constitution, they're saying, hey, it's not just intent thought. That's what Article 2 used to say. Now it says it affects thought too. And affects, meaning if you count the votes, there's only that one black voting district. That's wrong. And I think it's important for legitimacy, especially with us being a melting pot of a country, that we see that our U.S. Supreme Court is going to protect every person, no matter who you are, in this voting right. It says race, color, previous condition of servitude. It says this matters to us in these United States.
But what does this say to you about our political landscape in this country, that in 2023 we are still talking about anti-discrimination laws and things like that we are still having this conversation, and a lot of people feared how it would impact future legislation in other states. What does that tell you?
Oh, what a question. That's like the million-dollar philosophical question of all time. Why are we still talking about discrimination laws? It's probably because everyone feels victimized when something happens to them, and then they feel like someone's being a Karen or someone soft or a snowflake when it's happening to someone else. The problem is we as a human people are only able to internalize our own experience. And it's so hard to be extrospective and appreciate and care about someone else's experience. And the way it works in life is there's a seesaw. When someone wins, someone loses. And so we're always about me, 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 me. And it's hard to get to a place where everyone's trying to make their brother or their sister also be a happy person and live a great life. But fortunately, our laws since the 60s and even before, but when I think about Lyndon Johnson with the Civil Rights Act. We have laws in this country about anti-discrimination, and hopefully it's not just a laws thing. You don't want to just smack someone over the head and say, you got it wrong, you violated the Voting Rights Act. We have to have a discourse where we want to help our neighbor, that helping someone else is actually helping ourselves. I think that's the real issue. It's become tribal politics. And until we could get rid of that and realize that we rise as a group, we don't need a bigger piece of the pie. The pie is a lie. Let's make a bigger pie.
Who doesn't love pie?
Who doesn't love pie? I mean, listen, bottom line, 2 headlines from this.
Yeah.
Number 1, they protected the right for race and equity to be a part of how we draw our congressional lines in America. And 2, this 6-3 conservative Supreme Court can still surprise the country.
Yes.
We will get into that a lot more probably tomorrow on the show. For now, we're going to leave it there. Andrew Lieb, constitutional law attorney. Thanks so much, as always, for your passion and for your time. Back in 30 seconds.
Thank you.